It must be weird for anybody listening because you're probably expecting a bald man called Dom, and he's not here. So it's me. I'm Samantha Cusick, and I have officially kicked Dom off his own podcast for August. And I am starting my guest lineup for Women in Business with someone who is absolutely incredible, and I'm sure you'll recognise Ashleigh Hodges. So welcome to the Takeover, Ashleigh.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Oh my God, no, it's my pleasure. I was like, when you're putting names together for like, right, badass business women in hair, like, I mean, you can't not be in this lineup for sure. Like, I swear you do like everything. And it's like, it's super inspirational. But I also like, know how difficult it is, like spinning a lot of plates, doing so many different things and, trying to stay sane and have a life at the same time. So I was like, I want to know a little bit more about that and what you like, how you do this. And, I've obviously done my research because I'm a sad little stalker when it comes to doing podcasts. And I read that like you literally started in hair at 11, right?
I did, yeah. I used to go and work at my mum's salon.
That's wild. And it's like, so did you imagine ending up here, like president of the fellowship?
Not to sound like egotistical, but yeah, that was like my goal.
Oh my God, I literally love that.
Like, I'm like very one-track minded. So yeah, like, I mean, I don't think at 11 I would have been like, that's where I want to see myself, but like very specifically. But I knew that I wanted to like travel the world and accomplish a lot within hairdressing. So yeah, kind of.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. Like, it's quite rare, I think, to come across people that have got like a really good like idea of where they want to go. I mean, at what point like did it sort of start coming together for you and you're like, right, was it literally from 11 or was it like, a bit of an evolution through seeing things and being part of the industry?
Yeah, I think my mum, so I used to go and work in a salon that my mum worked in at 11. And then at 13, she opened her own salon. So I kind of saw her like from the very beginning building a new business. And I used to like, when one of your parents has a business, you're kind of there all the time with them. And she used to get HJ, which used to come out. I'm sure it used to come out like every week or every other week or something at the time. So like there was always a HJ around. So I was always really aware of all the things that the industry did because I would read that. And then I'm sure I was about 14. There was a big show in the town that we were in, Northampton, and Errol Douglas did the show. And I just always remember his models had these incredible like Alexander McQueen gowns and it was just incredible. And as a 14-year-old watching this that loved fashion and showcases and things like that, I was like, that is what I want to be doing. Like, I want his job. So that was it, basically. I was like, how do I become him?
Oh my God, I literally love that. So like, that's kind of the part of the journey that really lit that fire then and was like, right, this is actually something I aspire to. I want to be Errol Douglas.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and then I used to just pester him. I became his first assistant, and that's how I got involved in the fellowship, because when I qualified, at the back of my college prospectus, there was like a fellowship logo and description, and at the back of that it said about the fellowship, and I googled the fellowship and saw that Errol was a part of it, and he'd been on the Fame team, and all the hairdressers that I like looked up to and aspired to be were a part of this organization. And again, like I said, I'm very one-track minded, and I link things together, and I just went, well, if all of these people that I want to eventually be are a part of this organization, then I need to be a part of this. And I would just throw myself into anything that everyone else was doing. I was like, well, that's where I need to be. If they're there, then I need to be there.
God, that's such a really clever way to like get involved as well, like, and to really make those connections. And it's like, I guess not many people put two and two together like that, where it's like showing up constantly, really pushing and connecting with those people that you actually aspire to. Because I don't know about you. I'm quite. Well, I do know about you now, but I'm like, I would never be brave enough to pound somebody to let me do that. So I find it really inspiring that you do. Like, what? Like, did you just like go up to them when you were at events, and like, how did that even happen? How did you
Yeah, I mean,
start getting in there?
Well, if I'm on it, so I phoned Errol's salon,
Yeah.
and just said I wanted to assist him. And I mean, at the time, like they must get people do that all the time. Like back then, this was like before social media, so you couldn't DM someone. So it was old school. You would phone people. And the closest connection I had was his salon number. So I phoned his salon, and they said that he'd get back to me. And obviously he's very busy, and he didn't. And then my mum's salon was a Matrix salon, so we went to a Matrix event about a month or so later, I think it must have been. And Errol was a Matrix ambassador at the time, and he was presenting, and then you could go and meet him in the bar for pictures afterwards. So that's all I wanted to do, was to go and meet this person that had like inspired me for years. And when my mum's not very tech savvy, so I was like, right, this is how you take the picture, mum. And like went and stood next to Errol, and while she took the picture, she turned around and went, Errol, my daughter phoned your salon and you never got back to her, and she wants to assist you. And I'm standing next to like my idol, being like, mother,
bright red,
what are you doing? But Errol was, obviously he's the loveliest man in the world, and was really apologetic. And gave me his card, and literally within a month I was traveling up to Leeds to assist him on his first show for a tour that he was doing, and yeah, like the rest is history, to be honest.
Go mum. That's like, I love such a mum move. It's giving dance moms.
100.
It's like, you're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah,
like, it's so good. That's amazing. So what part of your journey did you figure out that, right, okay, I'm doing the session work, I'm doing like, because you did fashion weeks and so many different things. What part of your brain goes, right, now I need to open a studio space? Like,
I'm really honest, it was an accident. I juggle a lot of things, and so for those that don't know, I'm ADHD, so I'm autistic with ADHD. The one-track mind now makes loads of sense, doesn't it?
There you go.
So I had been working across 2 freelance spaces, the Social and Hunter Collective, and my friend Kai, who kind of gave me my first kind of safe space to work, I think, ever, if I'm honest. The Social was the first place that I ever felt comfortable in as a salon. And I've worked in many salons over the years. And he turned around to me, and because he was having different health problems, he was closing the Social, and we had a big cry because I'd worked there for years. And I was kind of a bit like, what now? Like, I can't go back into a salon space. Like, I'm just, I'm not the type of person that thrives in that environment. So I was looking, and it kind of like my friends, and we're in a WhatsApp group, as everyone is. And they were like, what are you going to do, Ash? You're going to open your own? And I was like, yeah, I think I might. And that was how my partner found out about it. He's in that WhatsApp group, and he came home that night and was like, so you're opening a studio, love?
You okay?
Yeah. And I was like, no, like, just for myself, just like, I just wanted something where I could work out of. And then I was looking for spaces, and I had the offer of taking over the Social, but I was kind of like, I'd been there for so long, I wanted to break out and have my own place. So I live and love Hackney. That's like what I always think of. And I've traveled all over the world, and every time I come home to Hackney, it's like the place that inspires me, but makes me feel comfortable and safe and held. So I was like, that's where I would want to be. It's like really not, it was all very emotional. It's not really kind of business mindset, which is ridiculous. It wasn't where my clients were. It wasn't anything to do with that. It was, this is where I'm happy, and this is what I'm going to do. And then, so I was looking for studio spaces, and just, I come across where MASH was, and it all just felt right. And it's an ex-photographic studio, and I was like, wow, this is incredible, and I need to have it. And like the business kind of built from that, to be honest, because it was originally meant to be a one-person space, and I just fell in love with the photographic studio and went, no, I want this. And then so many months later, I actually left my contract with the brand I was with, and then I was like, oh, okay, this has to be my business now. Like, I have to make this work. And yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
That's great. I think sometimes the best things do happen by chance, and it's almost like a motive connection to a place that gives it that sort of point of difference and makes it special. And I think, like you say, if it wasn't somewhere that you deeply connected with, would you drive it enough to, do you know what I mean, like put enough into it if you like, you know, if it wasn't fulfilling you in other ways? And I think there's a lot to be said for that in business, than rather than just what makes sense financially or what makes sense like for footfall or whatever. But it's, I think, when what you do and how you sort of build, because you're building like a brand. Like Ashleigh Hodges is a brand, and people know you and come to you, and I think that it doesn't matter where you are, like they can come and get more. And also with the space as it is, it sounds like they get more of you because of where it is.
100%. Yeah. And like I said, like the whole point of the space for me was to create a safe space that I could look after my clients without all the extra kind of thought processes of being in a salon, and the over kind of whelmingness of being in a salon. And I was like, God, there must be other people like me out there that also need this, and other creatives out there that need that kind of sustainable, safe space. And thankfully there are. So
that's so good. How many people work there now?
So we have, because it obviously, like a bit like you, like it's a freelance space, so
it's transient, like, in and out.
It's very transient. So we have a couple of people that are there on a monthly basis, and then we have people that have spaces elsewhere in the country that need a London space, and we work for them, so then they do that. And then we also have, because we're launching a production company within the studio.
Oh, amazing. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things I found actually is, again, like, because it's an ex-photographic studio, so many people use it for shoots, but actually don't know how to run a day of a shoot. They're very good at the hair, or they're very good at the direction of what they want, but they can't fit all the other pieces together. And like I said, I have a very one-track mind. I'm very organized with stuff like that. So I started doing it as a favor for a few people that took the studio on, and then I was like, I'm actually just producing you all.
I'm doing work for nothing.
So and I know all these creatives because I'm in session and we work in fashion and TV, and if people need a photographer or a makeup artist, or I know like 10 of them, so and I know where I source my models from, and I can help with that. And so actually, like, I produced a big shoot last week, and it all runs to time because I'm very efficient with it. It's just constantly growing and building. And I kind of think of like, and I don't know if you do this, but I kind of think like of my business as it's its own entity that I'm getting to know it. Like, I'm like 18 months in and I'm still getting to know it, so it's constantly teaching me things, and I'm constantly giving it back, and it's this kind of like transactional thing, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. I know what you mean. It's almost like, I think of it, I mean, the way you put it is much more eloquent than the way that I put it, but it's like, I feel like it develops, like what you think is one idea and what you set out to achieve and a goal you achieve. Sometimes as you're in the throes of doing it, you're like, that makes no sense. What was I even thinking? Like, there's so many different things that it evolves, and you're more opportunities that you see, and the more you connect with the community within it, so much like what you were seeing happening with like the production stuff, it sparks new ideas, and then it leads to new revenues and diversifying. And that's what makes me so excited about like the business, and like I think why honestly I don't get bored, because like there's always something new that you can do and react to.
100%. I think that's it. And it stressed me out a little bit, like quite early on, because I was a bit like, oh, this isn't what I initially expected to be doing, or this wasn't the original plan. Not that I had like a set original plan. I kind of like you will learn, I went in emotionally with it. and then I read something, and it was saying about, like, it had a list of all these businesses and how they originally started out. And like, just for instance, like Richard Branson's like Virgin everything that he has obviously started out as a record store, and now it's what it is. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Like it was almost like a thing that I needed to read to learn that it's okay for things to evolve and not be what that original idea is, and they can be so much more.
I completely agree. And it's like, you've got to lean in sometimes. And also, you know, when one idea that you're so set on isn't working, it's having that confidence to be like, you know what, let's move this because this isn't right. And I think, exactly. And I think, you know, a lot of businesses in our industry aren't great at doing that, if I would be brutally honest. And I think that's when we see things like legacy brands and heritage things just getting a little bit left behind. And like that sort of ability to pivot and evolve and to react to things as they change, like, quickly now, is what can really set businesses apart, and creatives as well.
100%. And I always remember, I mean, I feel really like genuinely lucky, like throughout my career I've like been around like the best people in our industry, both creatively and within business. And I was obviously really close with Ken Picton throughout his presidency, and I remember him saying to me, like, and he's one of the most incredible business people in our industry, above and beyond our industry now with what he has. And he always used to say, like, people don't like change, but the thing about life is everything's changing all the time, and unless you accept that, you're gonna either be fighting all the time or losing all the time. So you need to like accept that life is constantly changing and to embrace it. And I think about that all the time, like within every element of my businesses, that you just, like you said, you have to pivot and grow with it rather than fight it.
No, it's so true. How does your is it, how do I say AU? It's not AUHD, is that what it is that you have? Is that how I say it?
So ADHD or autism, so or DHD.
Or DHD, that's it. I knew there was an abbreviation that I was getting wrong there. How does that element deal with pivoting? Like, is that something that you can do quite well, or is that a struggle?
It's difficult. I mean, I'm a disabled person, like, basically, so like it's difficult dealing with it in general. And like both sides of my brain are constantly fighting with each other, basically, because the ADHD side actually thrives with it. So give me like a challenge that I wasn't expecting, and that side of my brain just like thrives, and I just want to run away. And that's what makes me like pinpoint and like ping pong around everything all the time, like quite eloquently. I try to be doing it.
No, you definitely are giving eloquence, so it's working.
But then obviously, like, as an autistic person, I very much thrive better with structure. So if something's thrown at me that I'm not aware of, I can absolutely melt down. So it really just depends on, if I'm honest, it depends on how well I've looked after myself to be able to take that on. But weirdly, like, the bigger things are easier for me to pivot.
My bloody doorbell. I knew that would happen. Dom, there you go. There's something for you to cut out. The bloody doorbell. I'm ignoring him. He can go away. Sorry about that. We'll edit that one out. Let's start again on that one. Oh, how funny. No, it's going to push it again. 1 second. BRB, live streaming issues.
Is that the question on YouTube? Did it say? Yeah, it's just come up. Sorry, you can see my face a lot whilst I'm reading this.
Oh my God, how? Well, I just had to run away. She was talking to no one.
Okay.
Oh, you got a question, haven't you?
Great. So
Perfect. Right. Yeah. Let's go with the question, and then we'll get back into what we were doing. So sorry about that.
So there's been a question saying, do you think the opportunities are there for young people and not for us oldies? I think, I mean, right now, I actually think there's opportunities for everyone in our industry, and maybe even more so for the older generation than the younger generation. For the first time ever, I know, like, within the fellowship there used to be age limits on entering things, so like the fame team and all of that, you used to have to be like under 30, and then it changed to 35, but there's no age limit on anything now. Like, we scrapped that years ago, and I think it's the same for a lot of things. And I think more than anything, there was a generation where they went full pelt into opening businesses and doing all of that, and they've kind of, and having children earlier, and they've kind of come off the other end of that and gone, oh, it's me time now. And I know so many people that are closing businesses to go freelance because they don't want the stress of doing that, and they want to just give their time to themselves. And they're joining projects, and they're getting involved with brands, and they're showing up at fashion weeks. And yeah, I think for the first time ever, like, age wise, I think it's quite diverse personally. What do you think, Samantha?
I agree, and I think there's a few different elements that really do impact that. I mean, you know, as an industry as a whole now, we're really struggling with new young talent coming through, you know, the drop off in apprenticeships, and now with the new government budget and all of these things happening means that there are actually less opportunities for younger people, which is, you know, a complete pandemic in itself, and something that we I know as an industry are really concerned about, and actually looking at ways to
Support.
like combat that, and support it. But ultimately what that means for the older generation, if they're open to it, is there are all these there's so many more opportunities. And I think we live now in a digital world where you can make your own opportunities, honestly. And I think it's not, like, I always think about this because I didn't go a traditional route within hair to grow a profile or to open businesses. Like, I didn't assist anybody. I didn't do any of that. It wasn't something that I really had access to in Nottingham, where I grew up. And also it just wasn't, I was a salon hairdresser. Like, I am a salon hairdresser. Like, I do consumer and clients, and I built that way. But never did I think that I would create the opportunity to be global ambassadors and like to do salons. And it's, I think what is so special about now is if you have that drive and you have, you know, a purpose and a vision that you want to show, you can. And you don't have to rely on other people now for opportunity. You can get it. And, you know, just take your mum somewhere and get her to shout at someone and say she needs to assist someone. Like, that would be perfect. But yeah, I think there's not really there's not an age limit on things. And, you know, like you're saying with what the Fame team do now, and I think there is still that stigma where people are too scared to put themselves out there. And I think if you can get past that, then you could do whatever you wanted. I think is my
100%.
take on it.
And I think the industry is so supportive, and, like, more than anything at this moment in time, with social media and the organizations that are out there and the brands that are out there, there's so many communities, micro communities, large communities, that cheer you on through it as well, which I think is great. And, like, I know that, like, any fellowship member can, like, pick up the phone and I would say ring me, but actually voice note me. That's better. And I would help them, and I know everyone on our board would do the same, and I know everyone that I know would do the same for each other. And I know that I can pick up the phone and voice note anyone else and say, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me? And they will. And that's basically how I survive. So
I think that's how we all survive, isn't it? Like, it is about, like, building those connections with people, but also making sure that you're not just taking, but you're giving. And I think that's, you know, that collaborative energy that now comes within our industry, it just makes it feel more special. And I think, you know, that didn't really happen that long ago. It wasn't really a thing that long ago. And now that collaborative sort of mindset really has flooded the industry, and I'm obsessed with that. Like, and I think, yes, if there is something people want to do, I would say just have a go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but there we go. Hopefully that answered that question. That was a bit of a mouthful, wasn't it? But anyway, before I was very rudely interrupted by my postman delivering the world's tiniest parcel that would have fitted through the door box. But whatever, he had some main character energy that he needed to ring the doorbell. We were talking about obviously how you're. I'm going to say it wrong again.
ADHD. Well, you can say ADHD.
It's because I'm abbreviating in my mind autism and ADHD, so I'm getting AUDHD, which I'm just not even pronouncing right. But I mean,
so AUDHD, that's what it is.
That is what it is, right? Okay, I'm not going mad. I just can't read it. I had
to write it down there because I was like, I needed to visually see it.
Yeah, so I'm not going completely mad. Right, but we're talking about how it's shaped your business, and like, you know, how it is that conflict and things like that, that's like brain one side, the other.
Yeah. I mean, like I said there, like you just have to be really like gracious with yourself, because like I said, like I'm disabled and I don't function in the same way that like an average person would, so to speak, or a neurotypical person would. And yeah, like I was saying, that it tends to be the bigger things that I can handle really well. So like, if I don't know, with MASH, for instance, MASH Creative, I was just about to soft launch it about a week before we had a flood. Oh, and I was like, lovely, that's exactly what you want. Just
that's the word.
Which is also why we soft launched it, so that we could figure all these things out. And like that, I can be like, right, okay, I phone the plumber, I do this. It's kind of small little things that can like knock me for six. And again, like I just have to, like, I don't know, like you just have to breathe and just go, okay, why am I feeling like this towards that? And break it down and think through it, because my mind will instantly make it a bigger thing than it is. Whereas the big things, my brain can like completely fix.
You make a plan and you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this something you embraced quite early on, or is it something you've had to really learn to sort of, you know, ask those questions?
I had to really learn. I actually I was like later, I'm like a later in life person that was diagnosed. Like I got diagnosed after the pandemic.
Okay.
So, and it was really fascinating. Like the whole journey itself was really fascinating. And I don't take any medication, because I've been advised by professionals not to take medication. But one of the main reasons is because I've been able to balance my life in a way to support myself with it. And that's kind of like, again, like being a business owner or freelance hairdresser means that you kind of, to a certain degree, can balance your life to support yourself.
You're in charge of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's like some days are a harder battle than others. And it's not necessarily easy, but then there's like some brilliant things that come from it as well. Like I said, it gives me that one track mind to get where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the thing of learning to accept things and to, you know, and learn how they can serve you as well in quite incredible ways. It's like it's super inspiring, and I'm sure that, like, you know, there's a lot of people now really championing neurodiversity and like really shining a light on it's not what people thought it was, and it's amazing to see. And, you know, taking that energy into president energy, as I've called it on my notes. I'm like, president energy, let's talk fellowship. Like, youngest woman ever to be president, no biggie. Like,
it's bloody hard, if I'm honest.
Has there been a moment where you're like, what the hell have I signed up for?
Many moments. I mean, being a woman in business in general is really difficult, and I think like this whole thing where you're doing this takeover with How to Cut It is amazing, and I can't wait to listen to everyone else, because I'm sure we all have had to deal with the same difficulties. And I did I did like a little, like, I don't know, intimate event at MASH at the end of last year, talking about women in our industry and the difficulties, and there was parts of it that I was like, this won't leave the room, so that we could be really honest, because it's really important for us all to understand. And I mean, about a month before I even become president, I was in a meeting with someone telling me I was too emotional, and like just all these tiny little microaggressions that you constantly have to deal with is really bloody hard. And I know that the previous women that were in the role of president had to have dealt with exactly the same thing. And I always kind of say, like, when people talk to me, especially about the fellowship in particular, because it's 80 years old next year.
Wow.
Like, it's a very long-standing organization, but everything's always going to be a reflection of the world that you're currently living in. And the world that we currently are living in is not equal. So that's what you're constantly going to be fighting against.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's like, it's really nice to see you getting that opportunity to be that fellowship. So it's like, yes, we live in what we currently live in, but it's also, how do we make it better for that next generation? Because, like, I mean, you've summed it up perfectly. It's those little microaggressions that are so flippant, and people just say things, or they think things that they don't pay much mind to, but it adds up. I mean, perfect example is, I named, for context, why I'm taking over this podcast is because I have a podcast called the Silly Little Girls Club, which is named because when I started my first salon in Notting Hill, the letting agent that showed me round and made me give me my business plan, my cash flow forecast, which were impeccably done, by the way, he called me a silly little girl. He told me that I would never do this. I would never achieve this cash flow, and made me pay double the deposit for the shop. Still doesn't talk to me. Has to deal with Greg, my partner, who has nothing to do with the business, which is again a complete GDPR like fuck up on their part. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, Dom, but whatever.
Well, I've tried really hard not to swear, so I'm glad that you.
It's because, you know, when something gets you so mad, and every time I tell that story, I relive it, and I'm just like, but how can you do that? But, you know, taking that and channeling it into something like the podcast, where I get together exactly women in business, and it's, you know, not just in the hair sphere, this one, it's like everybody you could imagine. Everyone's had the same experience, and you're just like, this is absolute bullshit. Like, it's, and when does it change? And I think it's, you know, standing up in front of people, having those conversations, and like kicking Dom off his own podcast so we can talk about it a bit more.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, and also like approaching things, like, I think it's lovely that we get to approach things in a very different way. And that needs to be respected, because not everything has to be done in a very patriarchal, forceful, masculine energy way. Like I was saying to you earlier about how I set my business, how it become a thing. It become a thing through emotion. And that's not wrong, that I didn't go, there's an area here where I can make money, this is the spreadsheet for that, and I'm going to go make money. Like, we need more matriarchal energy within business to balance the world out. So I think there's strength in both, and I think we need to get to a point where we can respect both. But then also, I have an incredible client that is very high up in the beauty industry, and she was offered a potential promotion. She declined it, and I was like, why did you decline it? And she said, well, I looked at my life and I'm happy where I am, and I'm getting to do this and I'm getting to do that, and I'm supporting people, and she was like, I just didn't need to grow up to the next level, because it was actually going to be more detrimental to my life than fulfilling. And I was like, that's amazing. I love that is how you felt. And again, that's something that we should also celebrate within business, because I know that, and I don't want to be that kind of person that's like, if that was a man, but that kind of masculine energy of, here's a promotion, great, I'll earn more money, I'll do all of this. And that's how kind of we're taught as a society. Whereas I think it's really important for us to embrace both forms of energy and just sit back sometimes and go, is this what I want to do? But then me and my client have very in-depth conversations about feminism in business.
She sounds amazing.
Oh my God, I love her to bits. She was part of our like little intimate event. And I said to her, I was also like, is it also, can I just like break this down more? Because sometimes we're not doing stuff because of the exhaustion that we have as women and the unpaid labor that we do as women and the unpaid thought processes within the home that we have to do as women. Sometimes we don't take opportunities because we don't want to add more to our plate.
Yeah.
Then there's also kind of the thought process of, when I leave an event at the end of the night, I have to think about how I'm going to safely get home. My male counterpart doesn't have to think about that in the same way that I do. So then there's other things that we have to think about that take our energy that, again, our male counterparts don't have to think about in the same way. And I have to think, can I afford to get an Uber? Am I still going to be safe in the Uber? I'm going to have to share that information with Matt so that he can track me coming home from said event. And there are like, there's obviously the microaggressions within business that we have to deal with, but then there's the outer rim of just being a woman within this current world, and the energy that takes. And I just think sometimes that doesn't get thought of either.
No, that's actually really important to think about. And it's like, we do it almost without acknowledging it. And it's things like, and then you don't acknowledge the energy that it's taken. I was thinking the other day, it's completely like, I didn't think about it at the time, but I went out for a dinner in London, like a brand dinner. And when I came home, I'd put in my bag a t-shirt, like a big baggy t-shirt to put over my top, because it was like one that was open in the middle. Not loads, like we're not giving like, OnlyFans vibes, but it was enough for me to think, God, on the tube on the way home, I'm just going to put on this giant t-shirt so that I don't have to deal with anything like that. And you just think, God, actually, that is mad. And like, how many women in our industry are dealing with things like that? Because it's a really random fact that I will fact check at some point, but I'm pretty certain it's 78% of all salon owners and like management positions in salons are female, but yet it's only really the male like small percentage that gets spotlighted and get these opportunities, and that's probably because of them just being like, no, I'm doing this, I'm this and this, and we're quite emotive, and we're like, how we almost like don't put ourselves forwards, right?
Yeah, we don't put ourselves forward, and then when we do, we consider whether it's something we genuinely want to be doing. And I think there's so many nuances in it that it honestly, I mean, we could probably talk about this for a whole year. So.
The whole takeover, every episode.
Literally the whole month of August. Sam.
But I do think there should be more to it. Like, there should be like I know everything has like different months and different things, but there really isn't like a spotlighting period of time for stuff like this. Like it, and it's like, there's a lot of noise, and there's a lot of like lip service to like feminism and to different things, but actually how we move it forwards and what we do with tangible steps. We need more of that.
I remember speaking to like one of the key magazines when they were talking about, like, we had this round table and we were talking about the fact that like not many women get nominated for like the big titles. And we were like, you need to make sure that more women are being asked to nominate for it. And the person that was like hosting it was like, well, do you realize that actually we do ask women and they still will probably only put one woman forward? So if like, we all know that with the likes of BHA and Creative Head, and when they ask for nominations, you put 2 or 3 names forward for it. And if let's say there's like 20 people putting 2 names forward or 3 names forward, there's going to be so many of those names that will crisscross. And then if there's only a small percent of them that are putting women's names forward, that there might only be 1 or 2 nominations of said woman. So I've always made it like a mission for myself that when I get asked for nominations, like, no offense to any of the men in the industry, I don't nominate any men ever.
Same.
I only ever put women down, because I know that those women will probably still only be 2% of those nominations. but they need to, like, we need more people doing that so that those names get thrown in the hat, so that the next year when nominations go through and we see that list of people to choose from again, those names are being seen to go, oh my God, I didn't think of that person, but yes, 100% her. And I feel really grateful that I'm in a generation of women that lift other women up, and I don't think that was a thing.
No, it wasn't.
Previous generations, there was previous generations where if you were up against another woman, it'd be you or her, so you were having to compete. Whereas I feel really grateful that I'm in a generation now where that's not the case, where we can come together and go, right, it's us or them type of thing.
No, it does feel like that, and you really cheer for them when you see their name, and it's like, I know. But then but if their name ever gets bloody cool, because it's always a bloody old man. So anyway,
I think we need more of us doing that, and more men stepping up doing that as well.
Yeah, that's a real key component for it, isn't it? Like, you know, it's not a boys' club anymore. It's an everybody club, and like, it needs to be recognised as so, on talent, on merit, on everything like that, and not just, oh, I know him, or I'll scratch his back, he'll do me a favour. And it's just like that element of it, which lurks still.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest things, having got up to the top of the industry and being able to be in the hub of it. I didn't fully realise how much that happens, and it's really upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to know that you're there and at the helm of it. So now you can be like, no, this is not how we're doing things anymore. Like,
I try my hardest,
and that's all that we can do, isn't it? And like, just keep advocating. And I think, but I have a few quick fire chaos questions to end on, just because I was like, we're getting into it now. I'm like, let's bring it back, because Dom's going to be sat there like, girls, this takeover is not meant to be on 5 hours, but you know. Okay, so first question is, one red flag in business that you wouldn't ignore.
Oh, that's not very quick fire.
No, it's fine, they're not very quick fire.
One red flag, that's really good. Atmosphere, I think. Like the culture. So whether your business is online, whether your business is in person, I think the culture that you're creating is really important, and if that's not right, that would be my red flag.
I think that's a good one. I think community and culture, tick because they
it's almost like, I mean, when I used to manage my mum's salon years and years ago, if there was one person that was unhappy, then everyone would become unhappy. So
the dog is going for it now, but I don't know what is going on in my house. Like, usually it's like peacefully quiet, but now I've got this asshole of a dog. No, he's a senile bulldog. He's like,
say hello to the dog.
He's literally a senile old bulldog, and he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's face planting the wall, barking at it right now.
Oh my God, stop. Adorable.
Yeah, we will pick up on that one again. Yeah. Sydney, I'm just going to go put him in the bin. BRB. Right, in the kitchen. We're not doing it.
Okay, we're just pausing a moment for those on YouTube.
And we're back.
We can sort the dog out. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we just go back to that question. So we are, where was we on? Red flag in the business. Yeah, that one, we kind of wrapped that one up anyway, didn't we? Like, the community, it is a vibe. So the next question is, one thing that's massively overrated in our industry.
One thing that's massively overrated?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so many things.
I wanted to make them a bit different, because sometimes questions are so boring.
Awards.
Controversial, but I like it. I agree.
Being an educator. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I mean, I'd say awards primarily, because I feel like they're amazing to have, and they're really like reaffirming,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the be all and end all of everything. And you can be an incredible hairdresser and not have ever won an award.
Yeah.
You can be a useless hairdresser and have won many awards. like so that you can. It's true.
It's so true, and it's
There
like, you
are
know,
so
we do
many
need to have that
awards out there as
conversation.
well. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so yeah.
And they take so much work. Like, I'm in the middle of doing the award entries now for Creative Head, which I've got like a week left to do. And the bit that I like the most about entering them, and one of the reasons I only do it, is because I'm not a reflective person. Like, I'm always like, what's next, what's next, what's next? And it's the only time that I will stop and I'll take stock of that year. Yeah, and I'm like, I'll do my cash flow and I'll do all my different things and make sure that, and it really helps me realign for the next year. And then obviously, you go to the awards and you don't win.
I really enjoy, especially when you have to put together like a portfolio. It is the one time you reflect back.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, they're the type of awards where you're entering things you've already done.
Yeah.
That are like solidifying, yes, you've accomplished that, whether you get through or not. It's nice for you to kind of see that you've done that. But like, I look across the other creative industries, and when you've got music and art and fashion and all the awards within their industries are based on things that you would do anyway. Like an artist isn't going to create an album to win a Grammy. An artist is creating an album because that's how they've emotionally felt, and they've put that album together. And I think that's one of the things that, when I say that like awards are overrated, I think it's more the fact that people are entering to enter the award rather than to create something. And if you've done something great already and you're just putting it all together and
shout about it, right?
Yeah, like, you've done this incredible thing, let people know. If you've put an incredible creative collection together, enter that because it's come from you as a creative. Don't enter something just for the sake of entering it. Don't
you think you need an accolade.
Like, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, my one of my favorite like quotes is from Oprah, and she would always say, like, your end result equals like what your initial intention. And like, if your initial intention is to put something together to win an award, and you win that award, great, but you're not going to get much from that award. If you put together an incredible creative collection, whether you win that award or not, you've got something at the end that you're, one, really proud of and will shout about it way more than if you won an award through it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would agree about the overratedness of awards. I really would. And I shouldn't say that because, I mean, I'm only saying that as well to appease my ego, because I lost out on the bloody Business Director of the Year one to I'm pretty sure it was an old man, obviously, as predictable. Like, literally was livid, but I had to do the, oh, well done. And inside you're like, be grateful. But yeah, I think as long as you do it with the right intention and it's a celebration of you and your work, and to be recognized for that, go for it. But don't exert energy on chasing something that you think you need. You don't need it.
And this is coming from like, I'm bad for it as well. Like, in the past, I've entered things and either not got through and cried, or entered things and not won and cried. And it's through learning, like, seeing what people get when they win the award, how they work with it, and like whether it's worth it or not, and stepping out and not entering awards for a number of years. And like, I think it's overrated. You don't need it to be successful.
No, true. I think
it's just
that's
nice.
Good advice. It's just nice, and they look cute on a bookshelf collecting dust. Again, meaning nothing. But anyway, so final question: if tomorrow was day one again, and there's no fancy titles, no followers, and just vibes, what's the one thing you would want to take into that fresh start?
My creativity. That would be what I would want to continue with. Like, that's the one thing I would take everywhere with me.
That's one thing you can take everywhere. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, I'll wrap it up there then, because obviously we've got things to do. Business women doing business things on a Monday. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we'll let Dom back into his own podcast now. In you come.